This isn't going to be another one of those like how I built this podcast.
Business is a dumpster fire. Yeah. I think especially at our level.
We're going to tell you all the reasons why you shouldn't do this, why you shouldn't quit your day job, and like the real behind the scenes of running a small business.
Most podcasts about business, I guess, are so fucking rah-rah and happy-go-lucky.
Yeah.
And that's not really how shit runs.
I've pretty much learned everything not to do when starting a small food business. Let's go.
In 3, 2, 1.
Awesome. Welcome in, everybody. This is the first ever episode of the Why the Fuck Did I Build This podcast? I'm Andrew. This is Cory. And we're just two regular guys who had an idea to do a podcast. So we're going to tell you a little bit about our idea, a little bit about us, the businesses we run, and some of the fun shit that goes on in our lives as parents, homeowners, business owners. Hopefully you guys find some of this shit interesting. You find us mildly entertaining. It's been working so far on different social media platforms, so we figured we'd expand a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, I think the most important part is like, what else do you do when you're a married dad? You start a podcast.
Yeah, I mean that's
like the natural progression of life right now.
Yeah,
right?
I think
like we're both millennials, we're both dads,
both married,
both
own homes,
homeowners.
The logical next step is starting a podcast.
Exactly.
So here we are. So my name's Andrew. I've owned Dave's Sweet Tooth Toffee for almost 15 years now. My dad, Dave, was a retired Detroit firefighter. He used to make toffee for the guys at the engine house, package it in a mason jar, give it to friends and family around the holidays. I started a business with it, like I said, a little over a decade ago, and have pretty much learned everything not to do when starting a small food business. I've got 2 kids. I've got a 4-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son. I've been married. I've been with my wife for like 20 years. I own a home. It's about 100 years old and a source of constant headache. So yeah, just a little bit about, a little bit of everything. My day is just consumed with business, family, fixing my house, and then trying to just find 10 minutes to, for myself. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. And Cory here is, Cory and I have been best friends for, I don't know, probably the same amount of time, about 20 years, right?
That's crazy.
Crazy to say out
loud.
loud.
People are always like, oh, how'd you guys get here? So Andrew and I have known each other forever, and he kind of needed help with TikTok. So if you've ever seen our TikTok stuff, I'm kind of the guy behind the scenes on TikTok for him, kind of lead up marketing and overall fuckery, if you will, which is nice. Also a dad, 3-year-old son, also a homeowner. My home is only 98 years old, so not falling apart quite as fast, but still a constant source of headaches.
Yeah.
Yep. Also married. We're both millennials. I feel like that's like a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we make a lot of references to, it's like, oh, the Mighty Ducks or whatever. And, depending on who you're talking to, they're like, what?
What
it's
is
like,
that?
oh, you didn't have your whole childhood grow up in the 90s. Dog owner. We're both dog owners.
Oh, dog owners. Yeah, yeah.
Big dog guys.
Big dog guys.
Us here.
Gotta love dogs.
And yeah, the idea of the podcast is most podcasts about business, I guess, are so fucking rah-rah and happy-go-lucky.
Yeah.
And that's not really how shit runs.
I was going to say, this isn't going to be another one of those like how I built this podcast where like we have guests on here and we're just talking about all the great things and how you can do it too, because that's bullshit. Okay.
Yeah.
If I'm being completely honest with you, we're going to tell you all the reasons why you shouldn't do this, why you shouldn't quit your day job, and like the real behind the scenes of running a small business, maybe having kids, maybe being married, maybe owning a home or having a dog. I mean, sometimes, man, my fucking dog, love that dog, but Jesus, it's a lot of work too. So we're going to give you the half cynical take on everything. We're going to try to round it out with some positivity at the end of it, I would say. We'll have some guests on here through some next episodes and just talk about, I don't know, things that are going on in like real life, right? It's not just the positive stuff. So
yeah, the whole idea of kind of business is a dumpster fire. Yeah. I think especially at our level and anybody who wants to start a business, I mean, especially in food you're either starting at the bottom or you have a bunch of money to lose to start at the top, right? There's lots of VC backed bullshit in this and blah, 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 blah. But anybody who's kind of being like, oh, I'm going to do the farmer's market and I'm going to do this. And then maybe I'll go in a grocery store. I'll do this.
Yeah,
and I
if
need
you
to
have a
start
small
website.
salsa company or you want to make popcorn or something like that, we're going to try to tell you all the pitfalls that you might run into and some of the stuff that you don't think about. I think a lot of people, when they're starting a small business, especially in food, are just like, I'm going to make my salsa and I'm going to sell millions of dollars and it's just going to be great. And literally for me, for the Toffee company, in my experience, I would say that like making toffee is actually like just a small fraction of like what we actually have to do running a business.
Oh yeah.
So it's not even the toffee. It could be anything. Like I said, it could be salsa, it could be popcorn, but the daily pitfalls that people don't think of, I think that's kind of where we want to take some of this. So
yeah. So what would you, because I know what I think, but I kind of have obviously like a different role. What do you think are like the biggest things that suck up most of your time in business that like you would have never thought about? Like it's specifically a food business, right?
Sure. I mean, I think one of the things that takes up most of our time is marketing, right? Like trying to figure out how to get the product out there, because, we've gone the whole like wholesale, like, like distribution channel. Like that's kind of how we started. During COVID, we switched to more of like a direct to consumer model with the advent of things like TikTok Shop and, Instagram and the like Shopify and all that kind of stuff. We've been able to go even more like direct to consumer. And so like the marketing, just constantly being at the forefront, being relevant, having something to say, getting a little bit of like, like putting in that authenticity, like mixing that in there. I think that it takes up so much time. People are like, oh, well, you just like make an Instagram video or a TikTok video and just throw it up there. And like, that's marketing. And you're like, no, there's so much. I think we spend so much time just fleshing out like ideas. Like, I mean, fuck, this is an idea right here, right? This is, we're dedicating a whole afternoon just to like, just test pilot this thing to see if anybody even cares what we have to say.
Like I dropped my kid early or I dropped my kid off early at daycare today so that I could get here and like get some other shit I needed to get done because I knew this was going to be like a chunk of time. Yeah. And then if I didn't get here early, then that shit wouldn't have get done. And then I would have gotten wrapped up with something else like after we shoot this. And then So I feel like the kind of time blocking and managing of things that are like on the receiving end, right? And I feel like like the big joke is always like the Super Bowl commercials. Mm-hmm. It's like, what? It's $8 million for a 30-second thing. And it's like, but like those things take like months to put together.
The work that goes into
like,
it.
And really it's Shane Gillis and Peyton Manning rolling down a hill. Yeah. Like great commercial, hilarious. But it's like what people see, like so much more goes on the back end.
Yeah. And I think that's a pretty good analogy for like running a small business in general, because again, at the end of the day, there's all of these moving parts. There's all of these things, my wife always asks me in the morning, like, well, what do you got to do today? And I was like, I don't know. I'll find out when I get there, because like I walk in the door and it's like, I'm hit with like, boom, boom, boom. I could have the best laid plans and be like, this is my to-do list for the day. And like, not that I don't have that or shouldn't have that. There's still things that need to get done. But the amount of things that just pop up randomly, the fact that like, I could walk in here and it's like, oh, well, this is on fire and this is, this is broken and this is a problem. And, you're just kind of like, all right, what's the problem du jour? What's it going to be today? And that's
the
kind
problem
of,
du jour. Sounds good. I'll
delicious.
have that.
I'll have the problem du jour, So yeah. And very, very, not very often is it just one problem. It's much problems du jour.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Well, because I think there's also this like house of cards element to small business where shit's so fragile and we don't really know what we're doing, but we know enough, but not enough. And so it's like almost, I wouldn't say every time, but like I feel like whenever we do have like if a really big problem, and then like once you get through it, you kind of look at it and you're like, oh yeah, we probably could have avoided that.
100%. Most of our problems are either self-inflicted or avoidable if we knew what we knew after solving the problem. So yeah, again, I think that's part of the reason for this podcast is to kind of bring stuff up to people who are maybe thinking of starting a small business or like a food company, or maybe just getting started, who have been in business a little while. I mean, I feel like we have a ton of business owner, small business owner friends and we're constantly learning from each other. So we figured, why not share this information with everybody, have a little fun while we're doing it. We enjoy talking about this stuff. And like I said, I'm looking forward to having some guests on. So, we've got a lot of friends in the industry. I think like some people that can provide some good insight, and it's going to be a good time.
Well, and I think the whole kind of idea and genesis of us doing this podcast is there's I don't want to say a different language, but when you talk to other business owners, and almost in like any industry, but especially like small business owners that like have to manage like if you have to do whatever,
you're wearing all the hats.
Yeah. Like if you're also the guy who physically writes the rent check, like your business isn't big enough to where you're automated and you're like removed from it. And I feel like, like you'll talk to whether it's like, we have friends that own, sandwich shops, or we have friends that own, stuff with car places or whatever. And it's like, everybody deals with the same, it's just like a different lens, but it's the same problems.
A lot of the same problems. Yeah.
And I feel like that's what's going to be fun is there's a lot of awesome shit in business. We have a lot of flexibility. I'm super grateful that like, how we kind of run things and the flexibility we have, and it allows us to do shit with our family and all that. But it's like, it's the same shit no matter who you talk to. Well,
and it's 24/7. If you're used to working a job and you come from, you're like, oh, I'm going to quit my job as a CPA to like start my, I'll keep using the salsa company example, right?
Don't quit your job, folks.
Yeah, don't quit your job, right? People don't understand, like, it's like, oh yeah, you have a lot of freedom, but you also have zero freedom, right? Like tethered to an internet connection or my phone, you have to always be available, because if the building's on fire at 2:30 in the morning, like, guess what? They're calling you, So there is no weekends. There are no nights. You don't just clock out at 5 and go home and like pick up the problems the next morning. I mean, you can, but as a small business owner, when you've got, the kind of like risk and commitment that we have on the line, like it's not an option, right? So it's definitely hard on a family. Doesn't leave you a lot of time to do, other stuff. Hobbies become much more scarce, and then you're constantly on. But then you're right, you do get the freedom to do other stuff, because listen, nobody's going to make you go to work. Nobody. There's nobody here to be like, hey, you've got to be there fired at 8 a.m. Like I can't get fired.
You can go out of business. You can go out of business, but like nobody's going to fire you.
But there's nobody to report to aside from myself. So it's like, all right, now I have to have like laser focus, and there's times where I'm doing a bunch of stuff that like I really don't want to do.
Why would you even start a business?
Do you want the real answer, or do you want like the like made for podcast answer? Okay, so long drawn out answer. When I was in college, I was going to school. I didn't know what I wanted to go to school for. I was going to be an anesthesiologist. I always knew I had a problem with like authority. I didn't want to work for somebody else. A friend of mine's mom got us into a multi-level marketing scheme, and like we were selling like juice or some shit. I don't remember, but like part of this program was this reading program that they had, and like all the leaders and stuff in this multi-level marketing thing were like, touting these books and whatever. And so I started this reading program, and I started reading all of these like Dale Carnegie, like type, like, Robert Kiyosaki, Tim Ferriss type books. And I started thinking along this line of like, traditionally they said, go to school, get good grades, you'll get a good job, and you'll live the American dream. And these people were trying to reverse engineer that. And they were saying, figure out what you want to do. Go find somebody who's done that or is doing that, and then learn from them how to do it. And I was like that makes a ton of sense. And so like, I think Cory's kind of has the same mindset from the same time period. But my idea was I found this guy, Jack Aronson. He was making salsa over where I lived in Ferndale, Michigan, and his company had just blown up. He'd started making salsa out of the back of his restaurant, and now it was like the #1 selling salsa brand in the United States. And so I called this guy up and I was like, hey, can you help me? I have, this toffee recipe. I think this is fun. Everybody seems to like this product. And so I just started down this road. I started learning from other people who had done it. Again, not to say that I didn't make any mistakes. I've made all of them. So, just ask me about them. I'll tell you, but proud of my mistakes. But, getting some guidance from somebody who's done what I wanted to do or what I thought I wanted to do, kind of steered me down this path, and I just kind of now I've built my own personal like hell, and I can't get out of it. And so like I don't have a choice anymore. I'm stuck here, but I can help you. That's the whole goal, is that I can help. If I can help one person, then this podcast is worth it. So yeah, I'm going to try to deter you. I'll be the voice of like, don't fucking do this. And that's where the podcast idea came from. Why the fuck did I do this? Because you got all these podcasts, they're all rah, you can do it too, or whatever. No, that's bullshit. You can't do it. I promise you, you're going to have a miserable fucking time. Don't quit your job. And,
Was the salsa guy that Garden Fresh?
Yeah, that's Garden Fresh. Yeah.
What advice did he give you? Did he tell you, fuck no, don't do this?
No. I mean, he was one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. I wanted help. And as a young kid, I don't think he was there to like crush my dreams like I am for everybody else. I'm a little bit more jaded, I think, than he was. He helped. He introduced me to like his team. They helped me with packaging, with photos, with like, pricing my product and production and whatever they could do to help. So like I had a lot of help getting started. And I will forever be appreciative towards him and his wife for doing that and his whole team. But then, yeah, you start going and then, they kind of push you off on your own and you're going down the road and you're just like, what the fuck did I get myself into? So that was, I had an aha moment like a couple years after, and I was like, oh no, like, what is this? Like, there's so much more that goes into it. So
At what point were you like, do this?
every single day of my life. Like it's 2:30 in the morning and I'll wake up like, what are we going to do about this? Like, I mean, but then again, it's like I having a business, running a business, a small business is akin to having children. Anybody who has children knows that like 90% of it is fucking terrible, right? Like it's the worst thing ever. Like if you were going to sell me on the idea of having kids, like you'd be like, this sucks. I'm not buying that. But the 10% of it that like that everybody, that like it makes it worth it. And then I think that's the same with running a business, right? It's very akin to like having children.
Yeah. When I was really young, I did some like corporate sales stuff. But then I got out of that, and then I got into like the restaurant industry, which then led me into the food industry, which then led me into like other entrepreneurship type shit and whatever. So I had a very weird thing where like I went to college and dropped out, and then I tried to go back and dropped out. And then all of my friends were going to college, and I was like, I'm going to get a real job. And
which isn't a bad idea.
No, it's not a bad idea.
I have opinions about college, and we can talk about that in another episode.
Oh my God, that's a whole
nother episode in and of itself.
And so I did some I would say corporate sales jobs when I was really young, and the struggles that I had were I was like too young. I mean, I was like 19.
Yeah, no one takes you seriously when you're that young. That's the problem.
It was hard. I was selling like,
I don't know,
life altering, changing products that you want to buy from like a 55-year-old person with like
some life
salt and pepper hair. And
I was going to say, I don't know if anybody
done it.
I don't know if anybody takes us seriously. Still, it's interesting for sure.
Yeah, definitely not for the faint of heart.
Yeah. So I think, one of the things we want to do is try to answer some people's questions. And I think we thought of like the absolute perfect question that we get asked all the time. If anybody's seen our TikToks or any of our social media, you'll know exactly what we're talking about right away here. But I think one of the questions we get asked most often, and people are genuinely perplexed by this, we think it's very straightforward and makes sense, but is like, why do we mix business and politics?
Oh yeah, I feel like we get asked that more often than not. And now where we're at, it seems like so blatantly obvious that it's like a normal thing.
Well, conventional wisdom,
but that's the thing. Yeah, it's like
conventionally wisdom would tell you like, hey, you don't do that. It's almost like a what do you call it? Like a cliche, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, you don't mix business and politics, and it's like, the fuck you don't, like these days, like I think we're at a place especially in this country where like business is politics and politics is business, and they're so intertwined that like you can't even separate them, right? Like so many of the things that we have to deal with on a daily basis revolve around decisions that like politicians are making, whereas like maybe in the 80s or 70s or like early 90s or something it wasn't the case.
Well, yeah.
I mean, shit, even the early 2000s, but like today, from for the last 10 years, it's all wrapped into one.
Well, and with like, political stereotypes, I feel like we're different in the 80s than they are now, where I feel like, we're in this like identity politics era, and, people are kind of digging their heels in on a bunch of stuff. And it really like does affect people. Like we have employees, like people spend money with us, and there's a lot of places that like I won't shop at because I know stuff about their businesses. And so it's almost like a damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
And it just like makes sense. And also like what seems so crazy to me is when everybody says like, oh, you can't mix business with politics. And it's like, then why is there all the lobbying? Why do all these corporations donate millions of dollars to political campaigns?
Exactly. Why are giant hardware store corporations donating to super PACs? Like, so we're using our platform to vocalize what those corporate entities don't say out loud, right? We don't have the dollars to like donate to political action committees and stuff like that, but we sure as shit can get on here and talk about what we think is worth talking about, what's right and what's wrong, right?
And two, I feel like when we because again, like you said, like you started the business in 2011, it hasn't always been politically charged. I feel like that is kind of like a flashpoint, like in time. And there's almost like a kind of genesis point, I guess, for us at least, where it was like, if you don't think like us, and this is probably going to sound like I'm being a dickhead, but like, if I wouldn't buy you a beer at like my buddy's birthday party because I think you're a piece of shit, I don't want you to buy our stuff. 100%.
I think we've been pretty adamant about that from the time we started vocalizing like our opinions. And it was a big risk, right, to start off. I think it was like last year, like where we started sending rocks to piece of shit politicians.
Yeah.
And we were like, hey, well, I mean, it's a risk, but if they're going to shut down TikTok anyways, like what are they going to do? Ban our account? Like what's going to happen? What's the worst thing that could happen to us? So we kind of like went out on a limb and made this funny video. And then, it ended up really resonating with people. People appreciated like the honesty and the transparency. And so we've kind of ran with that. And I think it's been one of the best decisions that we've ever made, because not only do I think that we're actually using our platform for good, but goddamn, it's fun. Like the best part of my job is that like if being able to like troll what I consider shitty human beings, right? Like if you, because I'll say it right here, like look right at the camera. If you think that what this administration is doing is in any way like resembles what this country should be about, if you think that separating children from their families, like maliciously, arresting people in the streets, harassing U.S. citizens and non-U.S. citizens arbitrarily, not giving anybody due process, looting the federal government, all of the corruption is in any way is in any way, shape, or form like what this country is about, and you support it, then I just have two words for you. Fuck you. That's where we stand. That's where we're always going to stand. I think that, we want to be on the right side of history, and we want to do what's right. I want my kids, like when they grow up, to look back and be like, what were your parents doing when the country was going to shit? And I want them to say that like we tried to do something. Yeah. So I'm proud of the fact that we've taken a stand, that we're vocal about our opinions, and happy to have the conversation with anybody who thinks that it's not a good idea.
Did it hurt the business at all?
No, it didn't hurt the business at all. My wife was super concerned about, like, oh, well, like you're going to lose half your customers. And like, listen, we're a small business. If you really think about it logically, there's 350 million people in the United States. Let's just assume half of them were like, you know, it was 50-50. It's not, right? I mean, but let's just assume. So that leaves what, 175 million people? Do you know how many batches of toffee we make a week? Do you know how many more people 175 million people is than I actually need to like buy toffee? I mean, shit, we could have 10,000 really good customers and sell more toffee than we could ever make. Like, I don't need everybody to buy our product, nor do I want everybody to buy our product. You know, I think also people get into this, like, you know, when you start, like, know what the end goal is. My end goal has never been to like build like $1 billion company. Yeah. I'd be ashamed to be a billionaire. I would give all of it away before I even got close to that mark. I don't need that much money. All I want to do is like spend time with my family, build a business that like I can run sustainably and be proud of and have a little bit of fun while I'm doing it. Like, that's it, right? I don't need 350 million people to buy my product. Like, that sounds like a headache, actually. I don't want that. So
yeah. And also just like then it kind of just gets away from the core kind of tenets of even what the product is, right? It's right. It's like your dad's toffee recipe. So like, what are you going to do? Like, we're going to go into like every fucking Walmart in the country. And it just like, at some point it gets away from yourself. Yeah. And then, you know, you might as well be fucking. And
then all of a sudden our board of directors is donating to super PACs, you know?
So
exactly. To bring it full circle. So yeah, I mean, I think that we kind of know what we want out of running a business, and we just want to, listen, life is short. I just want to like spend time with my family, my kids, my daughter. I just blinked my eyes and she's almost 5 years old. Like, she's going to be 10, 12, 14 years old and want nothing to do with me for a while, very soon, you know? Yeah. So, you know, spending all the time that I can with my kids, you know, and is probably like the most important thing to me. And so I'm building it to be able to do that kind of stuff. So
I had this sidebar. I had like the massive revelation because, like, you know, my kid just turned 3. Mm-hmm. And so this was the first, you know, a few months ago when we had Christmas, this was like the first time that he got Christmas. Like, he like understood what it was. Oh yeah. And then I was like thinking, you know, when I was growing up, and it was like your like memories of Christmas are so rooted and they're such like core memories. Sure. But in reality, it's like, you're only going to get like 5, 6, 7 actual Christmases, right? Yeah. Like where you can watch your kids do it. And I was like, you're telling me I'm only going to wake up 5, 6, 7 times in my life where my kid understands what Christmas is, and then like still believes, and like the magic is still there. Yeah, my wife and I are doing the same thing right now. Like, we're planning a trip to Disney to take my daughter. She's super into like Disney princesses. Yeah. She's always wearing that Frozen dress. So we're going to like Magic Kingdom and stuff. And she was like, you literally only get like between like 4.5 and like, you know, 9 or 10, right? You get like 4 or 5 years where like they understand it and it's still magical. And like, I'm like, man, that's crazy to think about, because you're like, oh, well, 4 or 5 years, like that's such a long time or whatever. But like, how many times are you going to go on a trip like that? Yeah. How many times to take it even further, how many times did they experience it for the first time? Like, it's going to blow my daughter's mind to go there and like see all of the princesses and the castle and go to like the little luncheon and do the whole, like, get the bibbity bobbity boutique thing. And I'm super looking forward to it, but yeah, you only get to do it so many times. So again, not to get too far back off topic, but like that's the reason that we built it. So I think to be proud of it as well, to kind of like bring it full circle, be proud of something that we built. I think I don't have any choice at this day and age, but to like stand up for like other people who don't have the platform that we do, right? Like, this is a small thing. We're just testing this out. I'm not saying we've got millions of followers or we're going to, or anybody even really gives a shit. But if we don't try to leverage, you know, like our platforms, then I feel like we're just doing a disservice, and we're just as bad as the big companies that are donating to these super PACs and stuff like that. Like, because I think that being silent is being complicit these days, you know? I will say too, like it is so freeing when you're doing marketing and you're trying to make content and you're trying to come up with ideas, and, you know, you're responding to people as the business and, you know, talking as the business's voice, to literally be real.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like we really do think we're doing the right thing. We do think that I know that we're on the right side of history with kind of like how we live our life,
Right.
who we vote for, things we want in America, blah, 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 blah. But also like, so I feel like marketing is probably so hard for a lot of people because you're trying to like manufacture emotion around these weird social constructs.
Yeah.
When we're literally like, hey man, it's toffee, it's butter and sugar, it's fucking candy, it tastes good, it doesn't cure cancer. Oh, by the way, these are the type of people that we are.
Right.
And people are like, I like these guys.
Yeah, it's almost like the anti-marketing, right? Because like traditionally, if you're a marketer, like you're trying to include as many people as possible, right? And we're actually like, no, fuck you, you, you're cool. Like we're gonna sell to you, and that's it. And everybody else can kick rocks.
Yeah.
You know,
we're like the mean girls of TikTok.
Yeah,
we're like
you can't sit with us.
You can't sit with
us. She doesn't even go here.
She doesn't even go here.
Exactly.
I will say when I was listening to you talk and I was thinking about like the level of imposter syndrome, if there's any superpower that we could like give to somebody else is like, you're gonna have imposter syndrome.
Well, yeah.
Or you're a blatant narcissist.
Yes. Nobody who starts doing anything that we're doing knows what they're doing at all. Any given day of the week, you're literally just learning on the fly as you go. And if you're not, you're doing it wrong, or you've been handed a business that is like a legacy family business that like your parents
you've maybe grown up in or what. Yeah. So it's like, it's plug and play, but like, like we'll still do stuff where it's like, I don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Wonder if this is going to work.
You got to fake it till you make it.
Literally every day, all the time.
And so that's
like right now, for instance, like we're like, how do we do this?
Yeah.
But we're just figuring it out as we go.
Like this is pretty funny because we both have been on multiple podcasts for like other stuff. And, you know, we've both been on the news. Like you've been on QVC a bunch and stuff.
Sure.
We were like, we have concepts of a podcast.
We have concepts
to do this. But like, to actually do it, I feel like for us was like, ugh.
Well, and then this is a big first step. And I think we should end it there for this episode. I think hopefully someone will like see this and they'll say, oh, okay, like I get it. I get what these guys are going for. We'll get a little bit better at this. Again, this is the first time we've ever done it on our own. Shout out to Rachel for setting everything up and getting this going. Hopefully there'll be more episodes. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. I mean, thanks for joining us. I'll sign off like TikTok as always, like don't be an asshole. And we'll see you guys on the next edition of Why the Fuck Did I Build This?
Adios.